Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar where we will be talking about the new project that IFLA, together with a coalition of international and regional heritage organizations, is really proud to launch. So I might give it just a moment as I see people coming in, but thank you for joining us. Um, Let me go ahead and share. I hope you're able to see my screen now. If I can maybe have a reaction or someone write in the chat that you can see my screen. Okay, great, great, thank you. All right, so I might go ahead and get started. So again, welcome to this webinar where we will be introducing the Heritage Adapts program and specifically what it can mean and what it can offer to the library fields. So today we're going to look at what the project is, give you a look at some of the different elements of it, talk about why we have joined this coalition to make this project. We're going to explore in particular the action journey, which is one element of the project that is especially relevant, I think, for our members, for library associations and institutions, individual libraries, as it can really offer some real practical support. Um, then I'd like to take some time to look specifically at what this could mean for libraries, how you may use it, and then leave some time for questions and answers. You'll see you can please put a question in the chat. You can raise a hand, um, and and let your question be known, and I will do my best to answer it. I'll also leave my contact information. So if you have questions or need additional support, that is available. Just by way of introduction, first to me and then to the platform, my name is Claire McGuire. I'm the Manager of Policy and Advocacy at IFLA headquarters. And I would also like to extend a welcome to you from the different Heritage Adapts leadership partners. IFLA is one of a coalition of partners from around the world, really representing all different types of cultural heritage, from monuments and sites to intangible cultural heritage. And we represent the library field and documentary heritage. And we're very keen to extend this opportunity also to the library field to be involved in this global movement. So what is Heritage Adapts? This is a global campaign supporting thousands of stewards of heritage sites, spaces, and cultural practices to take locally led climate adaptation action. And I want to I'll talk about a few of these words here and give a little bit more context of what that means. But at the top, I really want to focus on that locally led climate adaptation access. And that's really where IFLA thought that this was something that libraries had to be involved in. When we're talking about bringing climate adaptation, climate action to the local level, who better than libraries to be that connecting piece between their communities and these broader changes? So the goal of Heritage Adapts is to have 3,000, maybe more, heritage sites and practices, people from all over the world that love heritage, that are working to protect it. 3,000 to pledge to take locally led climate adaptation by 2030. And we'll talk a little bit about what this pledge means and what Heritage Adapts is offering to help make that a reality, because this project is mostly about supporting the field and all of these different people through the process of taking that action. So going back to that pledge, I'd like to kind of look at what is a steward. So this may be a bit of an odd word for for those working in libraries, but for the sake of the project, for Heritage Adapts, anyone who takes the pledge who is working to protect a heritage site is a steward. It is someone who is working to protect and preserve heritage. So a pledge is made either on behalf of a group of stakeholders or a rights holder um, who is directly involved with the site. For the library field, because libraries are heritage institutions, it may be good to designate one person within the library to take the pledge on behalf of the library. Um, there may need to be some work within your organization to get permission to take the pledge on the organization's behalf. And it would be helpful to perhaps designate someone who is working on climate issues or is working on preserving the collections, perhaps working on adapting the building, perhaps working on risk reduction. It's up to you who makes the most sense. But one person would make that pledge on behalf of the library. But anyone, the wider staff can benefit from the tools that I will show you as we go on. And this is really to say, you know, whoever takes this pledge and joins this journey needs to be directly involved. We all can say, okay, I love the Eiffel Tower. I want to protect the Eiffel Tower, but unless maybe you do, but I don't have a direct stake in that. So it is really about, yes, I want to protect the heritage that I work with. And then I'd like to also take a moment to define climate adaptation. So this is work to adjust the practices, the systems, and the policies, different aspects to prepare for and moderate negative impact of climate change. So adaptation can be many things. It is taking action to help prevent, to reduce risk, to prevent damage to buildings, but also to communities, to people, to values, to ways of life. Adaptation can be a hard adaptation, so major construction work, perhaps it's rebuilding an eco-friendly building, something like that. It can also, however, be soft adaptation. So measures like improving building codes, working with your community, enhancing information sharing, knowledge sharing, things like this. So I think I'd like to just stress that pledging to take climate adaptation action, it doesn't mean pledging to rebuild the whole library. Absolutely not. An adaptation action can be many different things. It can be at the level that makes sense, that is achievable, and we'll kind of work through what we offer to help you determine what that is. So there's three main components to Heritage Adapts. Firstly, what I've been talking about is this pledge. That's the very beginning. Second is the coalition, because we can't do it alone. We're joining 3,000 by 2030. And finally, the platform, and that offers all of the support needed to take those next steps and turn the pledge into action. So the pledge. This is the beginning of the action journey. This is the first thing you will see. And this is the pledge, quite simply, here on the screen. I or we pledge to implement a locally led climate adaptation action or adaptive strategy for my or our heritage site or cultural practice by 2030. And does this start with a pledge? We are asking everyone to take this pledge, to start this action journey so your work can be counted. And so you can become a part of this global movement in a way that we can say we know how many sites, places, spaces, institutions around the world are contributing. And I just want to take a moment to say, I know the language here says cultural site or heritage site or cultural practice. In this work, we are defining heritage sites very broadly. I'll show you in a moment why we've used this specific language. But for this project, for our work, a heritage site is any place, any place where culture, where heritage is being preserved, protected, shared, appreciated, talked about, and absolutely includes cultural institutions, memory institutions, and libraries. We have used that language because this is a part of a wider movement. This project is directly linked to international climate policy. Global goal on adaptation is a part of the Paris Agreement, and we in 2023 had quite a significant breakthrough in terms of having culture and heritage included in climate policy, where the global goal on adaptation includes preserving heritage sites and practices. So this project came out of an effort to say, how can we help realize this goal? And so the language reflects what's in the goal, but it absolutely is inclusive of libraries. And I wanted to start with this to show that this work is really grounded in the international climate policy space. We are contributing to global climate action, but really supporting climate action and adaptation at the very local level. That second aspect of Heritage Adapts is the coalition. So Heritage Adapts means no one is alone in their efforts. It's made up of different types of partners. So IFLA is one of the leadership partners helping to drive the project, to shape it, and to bring in the library field. There are also supportive partners who take a bit more of a leadership role. This could be, for example, a role for a library association who is especially keen to get involved and to help the libraries in their network be involved. You can also access a directory of paid or free climate service providers, and then contributors bring in specific expertise. But I think for the majority of our members, the majority of libraries, you would join as a steward. This is the biggest group, people learning from one another, and to take specific adaptation action where you are. And finally is the platform. And this is where I'd like to spend the most time because I'm very keen with this webinar today to show you how this platform can support you, to give you a look at the information and the materials available there, and demonstrate really how you may use the platform, how you may actually benefit from what's there and add it, help it enhance the work you may already be doing within your library. So the platform offers a support system, and this is made up of 3 parts. Firstly is guidance. The platform offers entirely free, self-paced program of over 100 multimedia modules that will guide you and your staff and your team through every stage of locally led adaptation. Firstly, I will go through this in more detail, but this material will help you learn how to enhance your climate literacy. It will help you complete a climate-informed risk assessment and create a plan, and then put that plan in action. The platform also offers localized climate data, and it offers connection. So I'll walk through each of these steps, and please, as I go, feel free to put questions into the chat. Let me know if anything is unclear, if there's anything you'd like more information on. So the action journey, it's a self-paced online education type experience. And it walks you through 3 stages of taking climate action. And it's meant to make sure no one feels overwhelmed, that no matter where you're starting from, perhaps you've never done any work on climate, perhaps you are quite informed and there's specific things you would like to know more about. It doesn't matter. This platform is designed to meet you where you are. So you will begin, once you take the pledge, with an onboarding questionnaire that it's short, and it helps assess sort of where you are in the learning journey and recommends what might be the best point for you to begin. But you can access any of the material at any time and skip around. It's not something that you must complete one module to move to the other. You're able to explore, to find what is most important to you. So through this learning journey, it's building on a platform, but it's very actionable. It offers you the knowledge that you may need, firstly, to understand climate and heritage and really what adaptation is, and then go through all the steps that you may need to take to end with a very actionable risk assessment and plan for building your capacity even further. So that first stage is learn. You can build a foundation on climate and heritage, as I said. Um, you can pick what is interesting to you, and you can, you know, maybe go back and find things that are more relevant or less relevant, but really build up that body of knowledge. So I know this is a lot of text on the screen, but I wanted to give just a little bit of a peek at the type of information that is available in there. So for example, modules include how to approach climate science, how to assess climate risks, future modeling, engaging stakeholders, and especially engaging in equitable community engagements, helping your institution itself build capacity for preparing a risk assessment and adaptation strategy, as well as very basic information around defining heritage, understanding heritage values, and working with different stakeholders. The second stage is assess, and this part I am very excited about because I know in my work with our members, with our volunteers, with libraries around the world, I've heard that there is a need for support in doing risk assessments. And even if you have a risk assessment, perhaps changing climate realities may be bringing new risks in. So there could be a need to do an updated or a climate informed risk assessment. And at the end of following these modules, you will end up with a risk and assessment and adaptation strategy. So it leads you through designing, these tools, risk assessment and adaptation plan, but guided by your community. So in a library, your community could be your users, your volunteers, your staff, anyone who has a stake in the library. This process wants to bring people's perspectives together, to share different knowledge and perspectives, to evaluate how people approach risk, what they think the most about risk, their fears, and then co-create actions to help not only protect your collections, protect your spaces, but protect what people in your community value about the library. And again, as I said, it leaves you with a fully designed risk assessment that you can put into practice. So some examples include assessing present climate hazards, designing, writing a risk assessment, applying data analysis, and facilitating conversations about risk. And then the final stage is act, because you've built up your body of knowledge, you've done a risk assessment, you've done an adaptation plan. What do you do next? So this is really taking it to the next level and supporting you in exploring what that might mean. And again, some things may be more relevant than others, but there is a wealth of information to refer to here. So some of the modules here include turning strategies into reality, methods for putting a strategy into practice, how to mobilize support. So that could be from funding to building partnerships within your community, how to track progress, how to monitor your work on your plan, how to evaluate, and how to inspire change. So telling stories from what you've done. And I think that is so important also for libraries as storytellers, and to be really making what they're doing known and talking about it and illustrating why it's so important to be doing this action. So these are some of the materials covered in this final portion. In addition to all of that, the platforms offers a data hub. So this is a set of climate data by region, where you can, localize climate data that you can download and use in your own, in your work, in your conversations, in your adaptation work. It also includes support on how to use the information that's there. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, the platform offers connection. It is a learning action journey, but one that is supported by a peer network. And I think excitingly, it's not just a network of librarians, it is a network of people working on all different types of culture and heritage. So once you join the platform, you can access many of the materials in the learning platform beyond beyond the modules. So discussion boards, there will be virtual events. You can message one another. You can see who's working in your region on similar issues, perhaps, and share experiences. And is also a board for the library field that IFLA, myself, will moderate, where we can connect the different IFLA members, the wider library field that's working on this to talk about how we're doing and to raise questions and to share our experiences, because we can't do this alone. This is a huge topic. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of expertise, and we're really trying to bring everyone together through this platform. So that was a look at what's there. Obviously, there's a ton of information, and I really encourage you to explore it on your own, and I'll show you how to do that. But before I end the presentation and turn it over for questions, I wanted to speak a little bit about what this could mean specifically for libraries. And you may have ideas yourselves of where you intersect with this and what it can mean for you. But I thought, from the library field, what could be points that really help you and really demonstrate impact for you? So, firstly, going back to the pledge for libraries, I think there is some value and there's some power in saying, I am a part of something, and this is the credentials to show that I'm a part of something. So taking this pledge lets you make your commitment known. That might help you within your own advocacy, within your own conversations at the local level, at the municipal or the national level, when when you're working with others, working on climate issues, to say you're a part of this movement, to help showcase your commitment to climate. I think there is some real power there. And to connect your work to global climate action, to say, I'm contributing directly to the Paris Agreement and to the Global Goal on Adaptation. We want to offer the opportunity to make that connection very clear through this project. Secondly is this community of practice. So again, I think connecting to others in your region, to others in the heritage sector, offers some opportunities to be sharing with one another, to identify potential partners, and to understand how others, maybe at the very local level, are working on climate. And finally, secondly, IFLA's library group, then I really wanted to create a space for the library practitioners, for the libraries working in this space to come together and be able to meet. So we hope to make that a space to be having some really interesting exchanges and conversations. And finally, the action journey, which I hope speaks for itself. I think we've heard from the library fields, but also more broadly, the real need for capacity building, for learning. And we want to offer this for free. We want to allow libraries to use this information to be supported in their work. So being able to use these modules, I think, can be something that can really boost the work that you've already been doing. We hope that at the end of following this action journey, you can have a full risk assessment and adaptation plan ready to go and say, this was supported by the Heritage Adapts learning journey, the experts who have contributed to this work. but also kind of have different ideas of how you can mobilize support, how you can work with different partners, how you can find resources for your work, and then again to really give you some momentum and some power and some support in your storytelling, in your monitoring, in showing the work that you're doing and talking about it and advocating for libraries as powerhouses of climate adaptation, of enablers of local climate adaptation and local resilience building. So what is next? We're very keen from IFLA working with our members, with our volunteers, especially with some of our professional units, to explore possibilities for adding additional information and perhaps some more library specific content or modules to the learning journey. Much of the information is general enough that can be applied in many different contexts, but perhaps there is we would be interested in exploring how we build up the content as well and provide more for libraries or for memory institutions. Coming up from the platform soon are translations. So we're looking for a technical solution to translate the website into multiple languages, as well as the material into multiple languages to make it the most useful for you. And finally, we're very keen to ensure that the material here is available anywhere, including areas with low bandwidth, areas that may not be able to sit down at a laptop and access the material. So we're looking into launching a tool to provide the information, provide the action journey via WhatsApp in a low bandwidth way to make it as accessible as possible. So that is the overview of Heritage Adapts. This is where you go if you want to act. It is act.heritageadapts.org. You will see a lot of the material I covered here. The homepage will show, again, a more in-depth look at the action journey, at all the learning content. So I invite you to head over there to look at the material available, to explore a little bit more of the background of the different components of Heritage Adapts. And if you're ready to take the pledge and get started, we'd really love to build up a strong network of libraries that are benefiting from this, that are working on this. We would love to have IFLA's members really getting the benefits of the project and being able to apply it in their own work. And here is my contact. If you have questions, I'd be very happy to talk with you. I'd be happy to give you an additional session of running through the platform one-on-one, talking about it, answering any questions you have. If you would like a follow-up presentation, perhaps for your staff or your team, I'm also very happy to do that. So that is Heritage Adapts.